Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another night, another episode of Evil Live. I'm your host for the night, Evil, in the building, aka the Evil Tyrone. In the building tonight, holding it down. We got Lady Evil. Miss Jaleesa Taylor in the comments. Chillo. Shout outs. But yes, welcome to another episode. We got another uh awesome guest, from the horror community, joining us tonight, the incomparable, Kendall Burton. You may know him from, the Terra Nova podcast, co-hosting over there, with his co-host Jackie, doing their thing. If you have not checked that out, it's on all streaming platforms, where you soak up your podcasts and things of that nature. So definitely make sure you check that out, and let's get into it. We're gonna bring the guest up on stage. How you feeling tonight, Kendall?
I'm good, man. How's everything?
Listen, man, I can't complain. I can't complain. If I did, it is what it is. I can't complain.
I hate it. I hate it. My pops
Yeah.
used to always say the complaint department is closed. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Exactly. Like you know what, we gotta roll with it. We gotta roll with it. But yes, thank you for stopping by, tonight and kicking it with me. I got to meet you in person, which was really cool, BlurCon. How was your BlurCon experience, man?
Oh, that was fun, man. That was my first time ever going. Like I've heard of it. Like I'm one of the people. I'm terrible at keeping up with this stuff. So I'm just like, let me know when it is and I'll come. And luckily we had Sheree on from Bloody Massacre and
Yes.
100 other things that she does. She's in everything. So I had her on Terra Nova. We interviewed her. And she ended up mentioning it to Jack, and she was like, "You guys should come to BlurCon. It's fun." And I was like, "Oh, great! Like that sounds like a good time." So I grabbed tickets for me and my wife, and we ended up coming down. It was fun, man. I really enjoyed it. It was a nice vibe, chill. I'm already ready for next year. Got tickets and everything ready. I'm good to go.
Listen. I think it's a vibe, especially when there aren't a lot of like safe spaces where it's like a bunch of black folks could get in one space and just
Yep.
nerd out and just be and just feel at home, like no one's questioning anything. Everybody's just feeling at home and just
Yep.
having fun. No matter what you're into, the goofy stuff, the horror stuff, the kinky stuff, the funny stuff, all that, everything is melted into one pot, at BlurCon. So shout out to them. Shout out to them.
Yep.
We got a double feature podcast in the building. What's up, Mika? Hello, Kira in the building. Yes.
Nice.
Double feature. Yes, y'all, we have to get to BlurCon. Heard great things. You all look like you had it. Yes, we definitely had a blast. It was a
Oh man.
listen. Me and Jaleesa. It was our second time. Like me and Jaleesa, we went last year, but
Hmm.
this year it was our first time. Like doing a panel.
Hmm.
Which was
That was fun, man.
was fun. Yeah. Thank you. But let's get into it. So what is your horror origin story?
Oh man. Uh, it started with my father, like when I was a kid, probably three, if even that, probably super young. Yeah, about probably 3 years old. Because my when I was super young, my parents we would do family, family night. Everybody do family night, and a lot of times in my household, family night was horror movies because my dad was a big horror fan. So it was like watching Nightmare on Elm Street, Child's Play, and things like that. Being that young, I mean, it's easy to be scared by anything at that age. But I remember seeing Chucky, and I was like, man, this. I remember telling my father, I was like, man, this is a little scary. And my father was like, in his exact words, "I'll beat Chucky's ass." And I was like, fair enough. He's like, it ain't nothing to be afraid of. I'll fuck Chucky up if he came here. So don't worry about it. And I was like, you know what, you're right. And then that kind of immediately killed all fear I had for Chucky. And then like I was just enjoying the movie, man. Like that, Freddy and all of that, I was just enjoying them. Like after a while, I stopped being scared. I just enjoy them.
Yeah, that's a very dad answer, I'll whoop Chucky's ass, like, it's late brave, leave it to a dad to just unprovoked be like, just to tell you whose ass they whoop, at any given time,
So true, so
you
true.
know? But yeah, some great choices, Chucky, definitely a staple, in
Yep,
horror. Child's Play 2, one of my favorites, probably
same.
up there in my top 5, So what did you think of the show? Have you seen the show?
Yeah, I need to finish season two. Actually, I need to. I really enjoyed it. It's like it's a right level of weird and funny and like quirky. It's like it's everything. It's everything we love about Chucky as a series. And it's like I ain't gonna lie. Every time I tell people about this show, I'm just like, this show should suck, but it's actually really good.
It's funny because I agree with you. Like, I think at a certain point, especially in the Chucky, universe, things started to, go up and down. And I was like, I don't know. Like, what are you guys gonna do with the show? But I ended up enjoying the show in certain aspects of it a little bit more than some of the movies. I started to find I was like, oh, this is dope. Peacock's doing a thing,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you know.
I've been watching it on Shutter because Shutter actually had like the rights to the first two seasons. I've been
Oh,
watching it on air too.
yeah, these shows nowadays, like, everything is everywhere, man.
Yeah,
Everything
that's
is.
the hard part. It's too many damn shows.
Well, that's the thing, especially being in the horror community and everybody's giving you recommendations, and it's like, damn, I want to watch all this shit, but I ain't got the time. I ain't got the, I could only it's only 24 hours in a day. Y-
Yeah, yeah. How many shows can I binge in one day or one week?
Exactly, exactly. We got Kira. She says, "Dad had your back. Can't believe Chucky scared me so bad back in the day." Facts, facts.
Yeah, nah, Chucky
Yeah.
was more. You know who actually scared me more when I was a kid? It was it Pennywise.
Oh,
Pennywise
Pennywise, the
fucked me
original
up.
Tim Curry. Tim Curry.
Yeah, it messed me up a little bit as a kid. I had to revisit it. Like, what was it? I think the first time I saw it, the reason why it freaked me out. Long story short, it's because I was actually asleep and my dad was watching it, and I had a nightmare about it when I was sleeping. So when I woke up and saw that it was actually a movie, it scared the hell out of me.
Oh, damn. So it already embedded itself into your subconscious to scare the crap out of you.
Yeah, so I kind of woke up like, oh my god, this is a thing. And my father was like, why are you freaking out? I was like, I just had a nightmare about this. Like, I didn't know this was a movie. This is terrifying. So yeah, that messed with me.
Yeah. That's hilarious, man. That's hilarious. We got a double feature. Mika says, "Yeah, now being older, I realize you can probably kick Chucky. He scared me when I was younger." Yeah, a lot of, especially in like high school, people be like, "I
Yeah,
kicked the hell out of Chucky," and it's like, all right,
just kick him out.
well,
Even Andy started beating him up.
I'm like, we'll see. Because in the show, we got all variations of Chucky. The
Hmm.
the swole, beefed up Chucky and all that stuff. And you say you can take him out, but at the end of the day, he's dragging bodies around. He's cleaning the scene himself. It's not like he's
Yeah,
got help. He's cleaning the scene himself. So it's not going to be that easy of a match, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah,
Not going to be that. Not going to be that easy. And yes, Kira, there are a few horror series premiering this October on Peacock and
nice.
Paramount. Yes, yes, the overwhelming content. I agree, Mika. I agree. It's so much stuff, but I feel like we're in an era where we've got great we've got great horror, content,
Yeah,
and it's all over the place. Like,
yep,
back in the day, it'd be like, all right, I gotta go to the movies to see this, or I have to catch, like, the Halloween marathons and stuff like that. But I feel like now we don't necessarily have to wait until
yeah,
Halloween to get like the best of the best. Yeah.
yep. You get a year
So
round.
oh yes, oh yes. Now, my next question for you is Terra Nova. How did that get started? How did you link up with the co-host?
Oh man, I was we've been coming up on like I think almost 5 years now, 4 or 5 years now. Time is flying since we started. Yeah, no, it started literally for me just wanting to do something during the pandemic. Like everything was slowed down. Like I work in advertising, so it was actually the first time in my career been working that I actually had like a break. because I had just finished a freelance gig like early March that year, like right before everything got shut down. I was actually working on Mike Bloomberg's campaign. Like I was a designer in the
Wow.
campaign. I was just doing that for like the experience of it. I'm not gonna pretend I was a big fan of him. I was just like doing it for the experience. Being from New York, if you know, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was just wrapping up, and then I was just like, okay, cool. I guess I'll start a new gig in a few weeks or something. I'll take a little break, and then the world just kind of immediately shut down, and it was like, oh, well, shit. Now I'm at home. People are dealing with so many different problems and different things because of COVID and all of that. I was like, I kind of want to do something that's like positive but fun and something that kind of tickles my brain a little bit and gets me to think a little more. Because
Yeah.
I have these thoughts about stuff, but then it's just like, let me just put it somewhere. Like I don't really care what happens with it. Like I don't care if we get giant sponsors or if this pays my bills. I just want to have fun. And Jackie, in particular, was someone I met in college. We me and her have been friends now for think like 10 years roughly, probably longer.
Awesome.
We met when we were in college, and I was just kind of like, me and her always talked about horror movies. Like we always chopped it up because like I was one of the few people who didn't get freaked out when she talked about it, and vice
Yeah.
versa. So because of that, we were always like talking about horror movies, recommending them, and back and forth. Even so much so that sometimes Friday nights, thank God for the internet, we'd be using like AIM at the time because that was a thing. I'd find a
Dang.
movie online. I'd go on Google and be like, all right, top 100 horror movies from like the past 10 years. And then I would just pick something, and then like find a random site to watch it on, and then I'll send her the link, and we'll like watch it together. So it was like just like a bonding thing, and then we kind of became. When I eventually wanted to start a podcast, I was like, I wouldn't mind doing a podcast, but I want to do something I actually enjoy, so it doesn't feel like it's work. And then she came to mind for horror, and I was like, yeah, let's just do this. Like I know she has a great like grounding in horror. She understands the genre in a lot of ways better than I do. She has I always call it a horror historian because she has like great understanding of like past horror way beyond years that I've watched. Like in my childhood, a lot of stuff I was watching was the mainstream stuff, and then like pretty
Yeah.
much anything with a black character. My father somehow found it. So people under the stairs and all of that stuff, those were childhood staples for me. Tales from the Hood. Those were
Yeah.
like so for me, horror was always like a black thing as well. So it's kind of interesting when me and her start talking about horror more and more. And I realized some of the people I had in my life who didn't like horror, they mostly didn't like it because they thought the genre was only white. So
Yeah.
yeah, the podcast kind of opened up a whole new relationship from some of my friends and all of that stuff, and people that I end up meeting like yourself.
And that's the beautiful thing, like expanding your palette for the genre, because sometimes we can, it's a ton of content out there, and then we're seeing what's advertised, and they're like,
Yep,
top 10 horror movies of all time or top 50, of all time. And a lot of times they stray away from, content that's produced or made by, people that look like us, or,
yep,
stuff that's overseas, that, may be a little bit more extreme, or have a different perspective on certain things. And it's like, but when you get into the community, they're like, no, actually look at all this, like, because all this
yep,
is fire. So it was a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful
yep.
thing.
I love that.
Yes, yes. Got a Kira, she says, I find among my friends many are not horror fans. It's great when you link up with those who share the love and whom are well versed. Yes, yes. That's the beautiful thing, because sometimes we're out in the world, and uh we're interacting with our folks online, and
Yep,
we're doing it on the daily, and you're just like, yo, I got talk horror all the time with my friends, blah blah blah. And then you get out into the real world, and you get that reality check, and it's like, oh, okay. I I know where I'm at. I know where I'm at.
to be
You
honest
know.
with you, I think it's like when I find myself in new situations, I think it's always a conversation. Because
Yes.
I think a lot of times you find that people don't realize certain things that they've seen are horror. Like
Yes.
they'll just be like, "Oh, like I've just seen it even with the movie Get Out." Where people go, "I love the movie Get Out," and I'm like, "That's a horror movie," and they're like, "No, it's not." And I'm like, "How are you telling me it's not a horror?" Like that's why it was such a big deal that it won any of the awards that it won because horror is never rewarded as a genre. So like, what are you talking about? I'm like, so it sounds to me like you just don't want to recognize horror as maybe a high aesthetic genre, or maybe you just don't actually know what horror is, and that's totally fine as well. But I always find that conversation funny with people because they end up realizing they like more than they've let on originally.
Oh yeah, I think people have their perceptions and they have their prejudices when it comes to, horror and what they don't like about the genre. And then
Yeah,
when something does come up and it does resonate with the people, it's like, oh, that's not it. This is horror is, Freddy Krueger,
yeah,
Jason, piking somebody with a damn machete. And it's like, no,
yep,
it's all over the place. Horror is literally all over the place.
yep.
We got Mika. She says, Kendall, have you gotten into From?
Oh, I
That
love that show.
man,
A good
okay.
show.
Got another one. Cause me and my buddy Tavon Kane, we do a breakdown. We did a breakdown last season of the show, and every episode, I think every Wednesday we was just doing a breakdown and having a discussion with a couple folks from the community. So we would love to have you on
Oh yeah, let's do it,
one
man.
of those discussions, to chat about From. Yeah, I
Yeah, let's do it,
gotta
man.
add you
It's a
to the
good show.
From. Listen, it's an awesome show and it's full of questions, it's full of mystery. If you
Yep,
have not seen From, ladies and gentlemen, definitely check it out. Season 3 premieres was it September 22nd?
something like that. It's pretty
So
soon. Yeah,
yeah. So let's make sure everybody gets on the From boat, ladies and gentlemen. Mika also says, yes, looking forward to checking out the podcast. Yes, Terra Nova. They've got a lot of great content, a lot of great guests on there as well. A lot of
I
great guests
appreciate
on
it, man.
there as well. Yes. Now, my next question for you is: do you have a favorite subgenre? Out of horror?
Uh, if I really thought about it hard, I feel like the psychological stuff is the stuff that I'm loving the most these days.
Oh, okay,
I mean,
okay.
and it's funny because that's the stuff my wife hates the most. Like, she doesn't really like horror in general, but she
Yeah.
definitely revealed to me like the psychological stuff is stuff that makes her leave the room because it just makes her think too much about life. But I usually find that stuff super interesting, and I feel like the community reflects that in a lot of ways. You get like the hereditaries, which is awesome, but
Yeah,
for people who maybe don't wander heavily into the genre, that's not a one of one. There's a lot of psychological horrors that like can fit that mold. You have like the Dark and the Wicked, which is really awesome. You have The Witch. You have
yes,
shit. Even Last Night in Soho. Like you have a lot. The Menu, which isn't as bloody, but that is a horror movie. Like that genre, something about psychological horror just kind of hits me. I think it's just the aspect of like just thinking about how the world around you reflects back to you is just like super interesting. And sometimes it gets tap into stuff that you didn't even know was like a part of you. Like I think that's
yeah,
why Hereditary kind of hit people the way it did, because I don't think people ever really thought about like family grieving in that way. Like how does that
exactly.
look when you got the quote unquote status quo family of like a man, woman, child, middle class, and all of that stuff. How does it look like when they grieve, and how does it look like when like their problems aren't financial, their problems are
Yes,
everything else? And I find that super interesting.
yes, I love it. I love it. Shout out to my co-host. Lady Evil. She loves psychological horror. She actually got me into it a little bit more because I like psychological horror, but sometimes I need a buddy with me to break this shit down.
I
So
feel you.
I bought the Babadook when it first came
Oh
out,
yeah,
and it
yeah,
was like people were like, "Oh yeah, the Babadook," but they were going up for it, and I watched it, and I'm like, "What the fuck was that shit? I don't get it. I do not get it." I just put it back on my shelf and never touched it. Then
hmm
years later, got with Jaleesa, and she's like, "Oh, let's watch a movie." I'm like, "All right, let's watch, the Babadook." And she broke it down and she explained to me like, "Oh, this is about this. It's about trauma and
yep,
all this other stuff." And I'm like, "Oh wow!" So and then I love the movie because I can understand it.
yeah,
So I think sometimes that's why everybody's got these YouTube breakdowns, 20 things you missed,
yep.
and I'm just that's I'm the audience for that because I'm just
Me
like,
too, man. Me
you
too. I think
know,
sometimes I think for a lot of that stuff, it's a lived experience kind of thing. Like if you lived
yes,
it, you can get it. And things it don't look the same, especially like whether it's culturally or even racially. Like things don't look the same, right? Like we could. I mean, we're black, so we can crack a joke about something really tragic that happened and laugh
yes,
to like get through it. But then I mean, I've done that, and then one of my friends who was like white, she was like that. I forgot what was it. I'll give a very specific example. I was talking about the song "Cranes in the Sky" by Solange.
Okay.
Fantastic song. And I
Yes.
was telling her how the song is so good, and I was like, how the lyrics are so good. I love the way it's written. I love the way it's sung and all that stuff. And she was like, yeah, but it's like a super sad song. I was like, yeah, but like culturally talking about the sadness generally makes you feel better, like makes us feel better, or makes us like makes the pain more relatable and human. So like, it's not like we can sing it in celebration. We don't have to sing it and cry.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's a culture thing sometimes.
No, I definitely agree. Especially across the genres. No matter if it's hip hop, R&B,
Yep.
country, whatever all the other genres out there. It's like it's just that release, getting that
Yep.
release out. Even if you're singing about something heavy, getting that release out,
Yeah.
it evens it out a little bit. And we also got let's see. We got Mika. She says, yes, to psychological horror. Love the dark and the wicked.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Kira says, absolutely love the witch and the dark and the wicked. Check out the vigil if you
Heard
haven't.
about that one.
Yes, yes. See, recommendations flying,
Love it.
recommendations flying. Kira says, Men is definitely a worthy psychological horror as well.
I need to
Love
check that
Men.
one out too.
Yeah, yeah. Men was I was high when I was watching Men, so it was it
It was
was
different.
definitely yeah, it was different because I'm like, I don't you haven't seen it yet, so I'm like, but it was certain it was certain parts in there where I was just like, "Oh shit," this is this is not the movie that I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah,
So
I
it
mean, I have
was
to check that out. I've seen the poster and I've heard a little tidbits about it, but I haven't sat down to watch it.
Yeah. We got we got Mika. She says, yes, sometimes you need those multiple rewatches to get things. I find I always miss something. Yes, yes. Listen, the YouTube recaps are definitely needed,
Yep.
especially with because
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, I got questions. I got questions.
Yeah. And From
This
is one of them shows where they give you half an answer, then 30 more questions. So you be like, all right, man.
facts.
It's just like, all right, bro, I don't even know what to do with this yet.
Facts, facts. Mika says, great album, a seat at the table. Yes, yes. Classic album, classic album. Men is a trip. Yes, it's definitely a trip. I can't wait for your thoughts on that. So definitely let us know, what
Yeah.
your thoughts are,
I'll peep that
after
soon.
after you're done with that. Now, do you have a favorite decade of horror, if you had to choose one?
Oh, man. Uh, this I never actually thought about it. I guess if I really, really had to think about it, I'd probably pick the 90s because if I recall, I think Candyman came out in the 90s. That was like 94, 93 or something like that.
Yeah.
I believe Tales from the Hood also came out in the 90s. People Under the Stairs. I think Wishmaster came out in the 90s. I remember watching that a lot as a kid. Wishmaster. That's a
Yes.
throwback. Um, I remember the movie The Dentist. I think that also came out in the 90s.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm pulling out old like relics at this point, but like these are all the things I watched in my
They
childhood.
fire.
Ice Cream Man. I think that was also the 90s.
Yes.
I think Pumpkinhead was the 90s as well. I'm not 100% like it's so
Yes.
many of them. Pumpkinhead. What else? Some of the Leprechaun. Some of the Leprechauns I think came out in the 90s.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with the 90s. I was watching everything in my childhood, from Dusk Till Dawn, which is still my favorite vampire movie ever. So yeah, all that stuff.
Oh man, do you play video games?
Yeah.
Listen, do you what there's a series out there. It's called like I think it's called After Dark, the series or whatever, and they do like interactive horror movies. And one of the horror movies is called Ashes to Ashes. So if you like From Dusk Till Dawn, damn, now that I think about it,
Hold on, are
Ashes
you
to
talking about the
Ashes.
Dark Pictures anthology?
Dark Pictures, yes,
House
yes.
of Ashes?
Yes, House of Ashes.
That's my game, yeah.
Bro,
That's
I
my
just
game.
played it for the first time like 2 weeks ago. I was
Yeah.
blown away. I just randomly it was on sale. I'm like, let me check this out.
Hmm.
Blown away.
That's my
So
favorite one. Out of all the Dark Picture ones, that's my favorite
yeah.
one. Me and my
Oh
friend
yeah.
actually gonna replay it. because we enjoyed it so much.
Listen, it was definitely high octane. I didn't know what I
Yeah,
was stepping into, but
yeah,
definitely
super
high octane.
interesting story. I kind of hope that becomes a movie, but I don't know if they would do it right.
Yeah, because I was like, at first I was like, oh, we're going into the timeline. I was like,
Hmm.
interesting, this timeline and everything. But they did the damn thing,
Yeah, for real.
So
For real. I
if
love
any
those
and
type of games.
listen,
One of my good friends who even like he doesn't watch horror movies because he gets scared. He loves those games too. He ends up playing them. He's like, I'll play it with y'all as long as y'all play it with me. So we played through all the Dark Picture games, Little Hope, The Devil in Me, all of them. We played through all of them.
yeah, I bought them all, but I've only beat House of Ashes, and I'm in the middle of Little Hope right now,
Little
So
Hope is pretty
it's
good.
yeah, it's giving me like a Silent Hill type vibes so far,
Yeah, yeah, that's kind
you
of the
know.
energy they go for with that one. But it's good. It's good. All of them have pretty good stories. The only one I didn't love was The Devil in Me. I thought that was the worst one, but
Yeah.
that's my opinion. I mean, some people probably feel differently.
Yeah. Oh yeah, everybody listen, everybody has you know, uh their different twists and things like that. I've like my favorite like a lot of people really love the Resident Evil games, especially like
Hmm.
the earlier Resident Evil games.
Hmm.
And for me, I feel like I love the later Resident Evil games because I'm not trying to sit through 20 hours of damn puzzles when I'm scared shitless walking through like you put me in
Yeah.
the dark. I gotta conserve ammo.
Yep.
It's zombies everywhere, and then you
Yep.
want me to think on top of that? Like, nah, dog. Like, just,
You
just,
Indiana Jones now with zombies.
yeah, yeah. I'm like, nah, we're not doing that. Let me get in Dead Space where it's just, let me
I need to
run
play that.
around in the issue. Have you played it
I
yet?
haven't played it yet. I need to. I was trying
Oh
to
my
play the one that's supposed to be similar, Callisto Protocol, but I didn't enjoy that as much. I heard Dead Space is better.
is way better. Like Callisto Protocol was fun. I think
It was
I played it while I was actually working. Like sometimes I'd be working and playing a game or whatever.
mhm.
But I played Dead Space is one of my favorite. It's probably my favorite horror game, up there with like Alan Wake and Resident Evil 7, but Dead Space, I highly recommend that one.
Yeah,
Highly
I got to
recommend.
play that, and I'm actually going to play Alan Wake because they have it for PlayStation for free. I want to check that
Yes.
out because that company also made this other game called Control that's I'm really enjoying, and they
Yes.
actually kind
Yes.
of give Alan Wake a cameo in it. So like I'm like I need to play Alan Wake now. I need to.
Oh shit! See, I got Control downloaded. I haven't played it yet, but now now that you have said
It's
that, I'm
good.
like, okay,
It's
okay.
good. It's really, really. I haven't finished it yet, but it's like really, really good. I like it.
Yeah, yeah. Alan Wake is like if it's like Stephen King, mixed
Hmm.
with a little Twilight Zone.
That's
It's
what I heard.
dope.
Yeah,
It's definitely dope. You know, uh, we got a double feature. Says Candyman and People Under the Stairs. Yes, yes. We got a Kara the Dentist is so slept on. The Stepfather was fun as well.
the dentist. Yeah,
Listen,
I think I saw Stepfather as well. The dentist, man. I'm gonna
listen.
pop
Have
that
you
up.
ever seen The Stepfather? Have you ever
I don't
checked that
think
one out?
so, but it sounds familiar.
Yeah, yeah, it's The Stepfather is hilarious, but for all the wrong reasons, it's hilarious, but, it's a good watch, it's a good watch, but I recently just bought, The Dentist 1 and 2, they came out with the combo on Blu-ray, so I had
Oh,
to
nice.
snatch that up, but that was a good one.
Yeah, that's a dope album.
Kira recommends, The Night House and Resurrection, Rebecca
I saw
Hall is
those. Both
flawless.
of those are really good.
Listen, man,
Both
I've
of those are very
seen
good.
yeah, I enjoyed the Night House, but if you ask me what the hell, was going on, I'm making up the plot, I'm making up the plot. I'm like, because if I think the Night House was about her dealing with her grief, of course, from what her husband did, and possibly interacting with him, on the other side. And, I was like, all right, well, I don't want to go into spoiler territory, but just her interacting with him on the other side, so,
Yeah,
but
that's pretty accurate. On top of like the whole, I mean, like I guess without a spoiler, the motif of the movie is like your dark thoughts being your worst enemy. Because like that's why the monster was like this negative man because it wasn't really like an actual man. It was like the negative space, which is kind of the
oh,
negative space in your mind. So
thank you. Thank you. See, you just you just unlocked another layer of that movie for me.
It's a good movie. It's a really good movie.
Yeah.
Resurrection was wild. That movie is a trip.
See, I have not seen Resurrection yet. That's one that I have to it's one in my backlog. I definitely gotta see that one.
You're gonna have to go read up on Reddit after you watch that because
Oh,
that
okay.
movie, even for me, I was kind of like, I get it, but like, what is happening here?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've heard a lot of people, give it praise, so I'm definitely gonna check it out. Like you said, hop on Reddit, watch a
Yeah.
YouTube video, get
Yep.
the breakdown, We got Mika said we tucked that Resident Evil terrified going through that damn house. Listen, listen, Resident Evil, it's especially like 2, the remake
Mhm.
2 is super stressful. Like I had to delete the damn game. I was like, you know what? It was already stressful conserving ammo, but then you got me solving puzzles, and then you got Mr. X walking around. Because
Mhm.
Nemesis is already a pain in the ass, got my chest beaten like, Alien Isolation. But Mr. X, I was like, it's too much. It's too much. I'm done. It is what it is. I deleted the game. Uh, what's up, Bobby? Bobby likes it spooky, in
That's
the
hilarious.
house.
You sound like me with
Yes.
Outlast. I got mad playing Outlast because I was getting tired that this motherfucker went to an insane asylum armed with a digital camera. I was like, I can't fight nobody. I'm supposed to just walk around.
Listen, man, you know what? Outlast was fun, but I think that was the first game of the like the dope graphic era where
Mhm.
all the graphics were revamped and all that, like where I was just like, oh shit, I'm really jumping. I'm really
Yeah.
like, especially you got headphones on and
Yep.
things are popping out and the lighting and all that crap. And I'm just like that. And I had to start like I don't know if you ever played Alien Isolation, which
Tried, but first person games give me migraines, so I had to stop.
but like I understand, but
It was fun.
I had to start morning drinking to finish that game. Like I had a bottle of rum in the fridge, and I'm not even a drinker like that. I just keep it in the fridge for like company and stuff like
Mhm.
that. But I remember that time I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take the bottle, sit it right next to me. 9 a.m. I started drinking, playing that damn game to calm my nerves, and I be so happy. So my goal is to like
That's
probably
hilarious.
my goal is to beat it again,
Mhm.
without drinking, I probably
That was gonna
find a
be a
way to
trophy achievement.
yeah, that's gonna be my trophy achievement. Sober, just finish finish the game sober,
That's hilarious.
but it is what it is, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to get past, do what you gotta do to get past,
Oh
you
man.
know. Now, could you name a horror film that you wish you would have been on the set for?
Oh man. Ooh, that's a tough one. I really wish I was on the set for.
Hmm.
Honestly, uh, the people under the stairs. Like that would have been really
Oh,
fun to be on the set for because I remember telling Jackie this, and I tell a lot of people when I talk about horror. Like in a lot of ways, that movie was such a staple of my childhood. So much so as Toy Story or The Lion King was.
yeah,
Like it was like that same staple in my childhood. Me and my father watched it all the time because it's that movie for people who have not seen it, which nobody clearly by your audience, most people probably have. But like
yeah,
for anyone who has not seen it, the movie it's a horror movie, but there's some scenes that are really funny, and like the movie is like super unique even by today's standards in a lot of ways. Like from a story standpoint, the lead character is a little black kid who got his little buckwheat joint, and his name is
yes,
Point Dexter. And I was like a super young kid watching this movie with my dad, and I was like, I could be Point Dexter. Like he's smart, he's in danger, but like he's smart and he knows how to get away from these adults that are chasing him through this labyrinth of a house. And I was like, I just feel like
yes,
that would be so funny to be on the set of, even especially if I was a young kid. That would be funny to be. And then also like I think like Wes Craven made it. I'd be like, dude, like what were you thinking when you wrote this movie? Like you came up with this idea where like we had this little black kid as a lead, and like this like family is like really weird, but they're the landlord, so there's like a capitalism angle of it, but then also a poverty. Like, how did you write this, bro? How'd you come up with
Listen,
it?
listen, that's what sometimes, like, especially as you get older and you start to reflect on certain things, and you're like, you think about that about People Under the Stairs, you think about that about Candyman, like all
Hmm.
these themes, and you're like, where did this come from?
Yeah,
Where did this come from in your white brain? Where did this come from? So
exactly.
it's it's like it is what it is. But we got questions. We got questions. We got Mika says looking forward to seeing what Jordan Peele does with his remake of People Under the Stairs. Yes, and Kira wants to know what are your feelings about the upcoming Peele remake of The People Under the Stairs?
I mean, personally, I think you shouldn't even touch it. Like, just leave it alone and make something else. Since Jordan Peele's been making such unique original movies, I feel like why
Hmm.
not just keep making original movies? That's like my main thought. But I don't think he can mess it up because I feel like he has enough respect for it. Considering that he even chose this movie to do as a remake, tells me he has respect for it. Like, this doesn't seem like something somebody approached him to make because I don't
Yeah,
feel like most people even know what the hell this movie is. Uh, So I feel like he probably took it upon himself to just actually do this because he probably thought he could bring something to it. So I'm gonna check it
yeah,
out. I'm gonna check it out. I'm knowing him. I don't feel like he's gonna do like a direct remake of scene by scene cut. He'll probably do his own type of thing with it, which would be fun and enjoyable. And it might actually get people to watch the original as well, which would be great. So like, why not?
oh yeah. I think, like, I'm excited for it. I think especially having a black man behind it, and I know he's
Yeah.
gonna have some color in the writing staff, so we're gonna definitely get that perspective and see what that's gonna bring to the story and how that's gonna go. Also, just the I feel like there were certain films back in the day, like everybody, we got a shit ton of remakes, and I'm like,
Hmm.
stop with the remakes at this point. Like we remaking damn movies that came out last year. Speak
Yeah.
no evil, or see,
How?
like,
Right? How?
but it's just like it's crazy, and I'm like, but I am a champion for remaking films that had good concepts but didn't have like the best or top tier execution. So
Yeah.
like films like The Stuff, or
Hmm.
like the creepy ass like movies like Motel Hell and stuff like that. Like
Hmm.
films where it's like, oh, this is a creepy premise, but you watch the film and you're like, what the hell is this shit? And but now that we're adding more perspectives into the genre, I'm like, oh, have somebody go and touch that and see what they could do with it.
Yeah.
So like me personally, I want to remake Abby. Like I've told people, I'm like, I need to get my hands on the rights some
Hmm.
way, somehow, so I could do that, because it deserves it deserves some limelight. If you have you seen Abby?
No, I haven't sit down and watch it. I was thinking about it. I was actually telling Jackie I was thinking about us doing it for Black History Month next year because I was like, I use the
Yes,
podcast as the excuse to watch movies I ain't seen. So I was like, I need to watch this
yes.
movie. I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Yes, yes. Listen, listen. I think it's a great choice. It's on YouTube.
Hmm.
The bootlegs are flying around on, eBay. I caught one of them. I think it was like
Hmm.
20 some dollars or whatever. But it needs a proper release. Like
Yeah.
Warner Brothers are assholes. For that. So, get it together, get it together.
Yeah. Seriously.
Mika says, Wes Craven stayed slaying that social commentary.
Oh,
Yes,
facts.
yes.
Facts.
Hey Jody, what's going on? What's going on? We got Mika, or stop remaking foreign films like Train to New York, which will be a remake of Train to Busan, not needed.
Yeah.
Facts, facts. Like what more are you gonna bring? Because I feel like the zombies overseas are infinitely more terrifying than the zombies, over here.
I agree with
So
that definitely. And Train to Busan in particular, that movie. I mean, I was actually watching it. I think that was last year, early this year, fairly recently. I was showing it to my niece because she's young. She's only like 14. but she loves horror movies because her mom's been watching
Awesome.
it since she was a kid too. So and she knows I love horror. So whenever she comes by, she's just like, put something on, put something on. And I was like, you know what? I know she loves all the bloods and guts stuff. Let me put on Train to Busan for her so she can get a little bit of a different perspective on the genre. And she loved it. She was scared and everything and loved it. And I remember by the end of it, and I'm always thinking about it. By the end of it, she was like, "I'm sad." And I was like, "What you mean?" She was like, "It's a very good movie, but I'm kind of sad. Like that's not how I'm kind of used to walking away from horror movies." And I was like, "Yeah, there's a lot more to the genre than people just getting ripped apart. So keep that in
Yeah.
mind."
Yeah, I mean, listen, what it's a lot. It's dope to see it from different perspectives and
Mhm.
just see what they can bring. Like, do you have any favorite, foreign films out there that stick out to you or that you hold near and dear?
Definitely Train to Busan. Love Train to Busan. Even the animated one, Soul Station, was really good. Let me try to think. What else? I haven't been watching much stuff lately, but I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. You know what? Train to Busan is the only thing coming to mind right now. I'm sure because I love foreign stuff. Oh, Incantation. I really liked Incantation. That
Bro,
was good.
that was when that came out, that was my movie of the year. I
That
had
was
to
dope.
actually hunt the bootleg down because I'm like, Netflix, y'all playing. Because I went on Twitter and I found the director,
Hmm.
and he'll be tweeting out sometimes, and I messaged him. I'm like, hey, is there a physical copy like out where you are? Is there any way I can get it? He's like, no, Netflix got the rights. There are no physical copies. I'm like,
Ah,
damn. So I went, did my due diligence. Shout out to sloppy seconds, .com. But sloppy seconds got me that copy, good old copy, and I got incantation on the shelf,
that's awesome.
so
Now, that's a good one, man. That one was very good. The Medium. I really, really love The Medium.
oh
That was so
yes,
good.
yes.
Um, I mean, I really enjoyed that. Was it Satan's Slaves? I saw those fairly recently. Those were really good. Way better storytelling than I expected for like that type of film. But that
Yoko
was really
Anwar is
good.
top tier storyteller.
Yeah, great
Knows how to
storytelling,
do it.
man. And Pedagore, that was really good.
Dude.
I really liked that one too. That was like shockingly crazy.
Yes.
That movie was woo, I'm like, you got babies being born with no skin. This is
Yeah.
insane. I don't know who came up with this one, but this is a solid ass movie. Uh yeah, there's a lot of great foreign stuff, man. I love the foreign stuff. Hell, what was the recent one? When Evil Lurks? Man,
Yeah.
that was
Oh, man.
crazy.
Listen, there was some scenes of Evil Lurks. I was just like, damn, I ain't never seen nothing like that before. I'm traumatized. Traumatized,
You know, I always wonder with foreign films. I'm always just like, I'm not sure if it's that America is sanitized or y'all just don't got the same rules.
I don't think we got the same rules. Like it's funny because American propaganda will be like, "Oh, they're so strict over there and they got this and they got that. They won't show this, they won't show that." But then you watch the movies and you're like, "Oh shit." They
Yeah,
they taking
they
it to
bugging.
taking it to a whole nother level.
Yeah, they bugging. They be doing
Yeah.
too much. Did you see La Llorona, the Guatemalan
Yeah.
version?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a fantastic movie too. I mean, that's a great movie. Like, how do you take like a folklore that people have heard of, remix it, still specific to the culture that it's from, but like add like a historical context to it all? Like, that's amazing, man. That movie is great. That movie was really good. I was actually really excited when like the director kind of like liked our post when we like reviewed it. I was like, I don't even know if this dude
Awesome.
speak English, but he probably just saw his movie cover and was like, they talking about it? That's all that matter.
Listen, that's how like Yoko Anwar, he had liked a few of my posts or whatever, and I was like,
Hmm.
oh shit, like I got all these damn bootlegs in here, because all this stuff is streaming. But he's like, well, at least they watching my shit over in America,
Yeah,
So it
it's
was
good, man.
yes.
We
We
got
got
for the
a
fun stuff.
Yes. We got Paul Draws in the building. Thank you for stopping by, Paul. Thank you for stopping by. Yes, Kira, the sadness. Next, have you seen the sadness?
That seemed like one I shouldn't sit through. From everything I heard, I was like, I'm good, bro. You know?
Listen. It was definitely shocking. It does come. I
Yeah,
always tell people, I'm like, trigger warning. It's definitely not something, you can just like, oh, let me just throw this on as as a popcorn, whatever, you
Nah,
gotta it's gotta be a certain crowd, I
yeah,
would say with
they
that
meant
one.
that title. They from everything I heard, they meant that.
Yes.
It's the sadness for real.
Yes, yes. We got Kira in the building. The Passenger Spanish film is really good as well.
I think
Yes,
I saw the
yes.
passenger. That
I've
sounds
like
good.
I have it on my list. Like it's I think it's in my voodoo list. I gotta check that out and clear that out, one of these
Zombie Child
days.
was another good foreign one I really liked. Honest episode,
Zombie. I
Zombie
gotta I
Child.
gotta check that one out. Zombie Child.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
on Shutter. I mean, I checked it out. I forgot why I even originally wanted to watch it. I think I like randomly stumbled upon the trailer like years ago, and it's like it's written by a white guy, but like the story doesn't seem like it would be because it's
Yeah.
supposed to be about like this, I think Haitian like folklore story about this man who died and came back and lived an entirely separate life. Like he
Yeah.
was Haitian, every culture views zombies differently. So like Haitian culture has their definition of a zombie, where a lot of it's well, I'm not Haitian, so just take it for what the movie's saying.
Yeah.
But basically, the man like died, and then like he was revived by like something, and then he's like living an entirely new life. Like he's
Oh
like
shit.
basically forced into like labor, but then he starts living it. He gets away from that, lives an entirely separate life, and this is supposed to be based off a man that actually lived. Obviously, I wasn't there to confirm the details of it, but I mean, that's what the story is basically about. This man who died, came back, and lived an entirely separate life.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Okay. Gotta definitely check that out. Yes, Kira says I haven't seen Zombie Child. I'm on it. Yes, yes. The rec
I like the first one.
let the recommendations fly. Let them fly. Speaking of international, have you seen Marianne, French horror on Netflix?
That's a show, right?
Yes.
I saw the
Yes.
first episode. I need to go back. There's so many damn shows to watch. I need to go back and
Listen.
finish.
Listen, man, it's so damn good, so damn good.
It's good the
But
whole
yeah,
way.
yeah, it's good the whole way. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sad that they didn't give it, another season. Like,
Mhm.
and I need to find someone who has like a good copy of that so I can get that on Blu-ray as well. Blu-ray, I need it. I need my physical media. I need my physical
Nah, I feel you,
media.
man.
You
The way they
know.
be taking stuff off of streaming, I understand. Like things just be vanishing.
Listen, vanishing. Then when you want to watch it, it's like, damn. But that was I was waiting. I was waiting 4 years to watch. This Honey We Shrunk Ourselves, and then when I sit down
Yeah,
to watch it, I can't see the shit. Because y'all done
yeah,
took it off. Y'all done switched the rights. You know.
yeah. No, it's terrible, man. I was literally just having this conversation with someone yesterday about there was a show on Max that I loved. Me and my wife were like hooked on it called Raised by Wolves. Like
Oh,
we
okay.
loved it. Show was fantastic. They canceled it after the second season, but apparently they also took the show off the streaming service. So I'm like, how am I even recommending this to people anymore if you can't watch it nowhere?
You know what's funny? I remember that it was with uh shit. What's her name?
I forgot the actress's name.
Uh
She was great in it though. She was fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, she was. Damn, how we folks they didn't not only erase the show, but erase the actress name from our brains. It's crazy.
Yeah, these
You
streaming
know?
services is something else, man.
Yeah, yeah. But yes, yes. Now my next question for you is, it's 2024, and we're interacting with the horror community and things like that. And we didn't always have like these folks to talk about the genre with, to digest the genre with. So how does it feel to be in this year and have like an entire community and have your podcast, with your co-host in 2024 and just to interact with the horror community? How does it feel to be a part of that collective?
Man, it's different. I would have never even imagined that this would be a thing. Like I said, me and Jackie do this for fun. We do this to just crack jokes and say dumb shit and act weird. Uh, and I would have never thought like when we first started doing it that there actually was like an online horror community. Obviously, there's a community for everything online. That's the internet. But I mean, to just kind of fall head first into it, I would have never expected. Like, thankfully, like through Instagram, meet people like Zero, meet people like girl that's so scary and all of them stuff. Like
Yeah.
meeting those people, meeting yourself. Started following you on Twitter. Like I'm like, oh man, this is like cool. These people are like everywhere. Like it's not just me and then maybe a few select friends or a few people I stumble upon who just happen to like horror. Like these people are everywhere. This like this is good. I always thought this genre was widespread. People clearly love this genre. It's just
Yeah.
I never really went to like the cons or anything like that, or had the money for it when I was like younger, or even knew that they existed. So I never thought about like it being a whole big collective that it is now. Man, it's fun. It's great, man. It's fun, man. Meeting people like yourself, meeting people like Sheree, meeting all these
Yes.
different people, man. I mean, I just kind of throw my name in a hat, like with half of you guys. I'm just like, yo, I just want to say hello. If they have me on, cool. If they don't, I'm still want to say cool. Like they probably want to tweet something I laugh about, and that's all I need. Like I don't need nothing beyond that. So it's kind of cool that people are, a little bit of everywhere, and you get a little bit of everything, right? Like
Yes.
before this genre is, crosses race lines, it crosses cultural lines, state lines, country lines. Like
Yes.
it just the genre just kind of hits everything, and it's great, man. It's great to even be considered a part of it. I would have never thought.
Yeah, I feel like it's like you said, like it's a little bit of everybody in here, and for the most part, everybody's been cool as hell, and we all share that love for the genre, for the culture, that
Yep,
horror culture, and it's just fun, like getting to meet people and being like, oh, and not just people who are like, oh yeah, I love Michael Myers, I love Freddy, but people who really get down in the deep, and talk
yep,
about, high tension, and they
yep,
passionate about it, and it's just like, yo, like where were y'all? Where were you? Where were y'all my whole life? Where when I was, watching Evil Dead in my room, and
yep.
people were like, damn, you serial killer, and it's like, no, motherfucker, I just like watching people get possessed by demons. Is that so
Is that so bad? Am I asking for too
is
much?
that so bad? You know?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
definitely me Friday nights, just online. Like, I ain't got nothing to do, especially in college. Man, I've
Yeah.
been working hard all week, going through classes and stuff. I just want to sit down and watch a movie. I'm just on the internet trying to find something. So it's
Facts.
a good time.
Facts. We got Paul Draws said, I'm fine with Zathura remake if they made one. If they do, I'd like to see kids of color and a sibling travel in space, and basically Jumanji in space. That would be wild, actually.
I don't think I heard of that one.
Jumanji in space. Yeah,
Movie space does sound dope.
yeah, I mean, listen, with especially with kids of color,
Yeah,
just don't get the people who made Jumanji to do it, get somebody else to do it,
yeah,
because no shade, but those we going for a certain vibe.
yeah. I think the closest we've had to something like that was like, what was the name of that movie that was on Netflix about the girl and her friend who time travel? But like she, unfortunately, they had to add like the sad social commentary of like police brutality. But like she believed that time travel was possible, and her teachers
Hmm.
was like, it's not, but like if you think it is, keep trying. And then she eventually like figured it out how to time travel, and she like takes her friend with her, and it's like dope that they time travel. It just kind of like sucks that like it's attached to like the real life reality of like her brother dies at the police, so she's trying to use her technology to save his life.
Yeah.
Like that's what kind of sucked, but the movie is awesome. It's just you kind of want to see kids just have a good time sometimes.
Speaking of time traveling, have you seen The Call on Netflix?
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
Bro, that was a sleeper for me. I was like,
Yeah,
damn, this is so damn good.
yeah,
Korea be pumping them out. Korea be
they
pumping
do,
them
they
out.
do, and I don't think their budgets are big either, which is crazy.
Nah, their storytelling is top tier. I love
Yeah,
whether it's zombies or just some time traveling stuff, or demonic possession, whatever. Like Korean horror is top tier.
yeah, for real. They really be knocking out the park, man.
Now, have you what was a horror movie that you wish you could see again for the first time?
Ooh, ooh, his house, his
Thank you
house.
for bringing that up. I love when people give His House its props because it's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that movie is fantastic. I've seen it twice now. I remember the first time granted, it's a very memorable film, so I remembered everything about
Yes.
it the second time I saw it. It's definitely one of the movies that leaves an imprint. And I remember the second time I watched it was because we did it for the podcast. But I really remember it. My I guess strongest memory about the movie wasn't even when I watched it the first time. It was when I watched it the second time because my wife came in the room when I was watching it. And I remember I think I was like halfway through it. She was like, "Oh, what's this?" I was like, "Oh, it's a horror movie about this, that, and the third." Like I said, she don't really like horror, but she'll occasionally see stuff and be like interested. So I'm
Yes.
like sitting there watching it together. And I'm not gonna spoil it for people who did not see it, but the big reveal about like their child and everything,
Yeah. Yeah.
it hit so hard. Like me and her both just started crying. It's like it's a wild reveal, and it's like it's super emotional, and it's super like it's a great movie. It's a great movie. So it's one of those movies where I'm like, I always tell people, even if you don't like horror, I would recommend that movie to you because it's
It
like you'll understand what's happening.
It was heavy, and I think that, it's one of those movies that if it did get the exposure, that it deserved, because as Mika says, it's so slept on, but if it
Yep,
did get the exposure it deserved, it could have been up there winning the awards,
yep.
because some of these movies that y'all got winning the awards, I'm like, come on now, because it did y'all watch the film? Did y'all watch the film? You know, 'Cause some of them be telling on themselves. They be like, I ain't even watched the film.
Yeah,
I ain't even. I'm on the committee. I ain't watch it. I ain't listen to
yeah.
the album. I'm on the committee. I ain't listen to it. But
That's where marketing and all that stuff come in though. Like, I mean, which that's my
yeah,
job, which is it's a good and downside to it because a movie could suck, but if you put enough marketing dollars behind it, people will at least see it to know that it sucked. Meanwhile, a movie can be good if there ain't enough marketing money behind it. It would just be a gem in a what do they say, a gem in the sand or whatever. And people would just stumble upon it and be like, "How have I never heard of this?" And it's just like, well, there wasn't money to market. I mean, even the dude, what was his name? Rusty, I think his name was Clifton or Clendon, the one who made Tales from the Hood. He
yes,
said the exact same issue. He was like, it wasn't even just they put marketing dollars behind it, but the way they marketed the movie, people weren't really sure of what it was, so they didn't see it. But when it hit VHS and all of that, the movie, boom, it's a giant movie and it's a big thing, and everyone was like, "This is a fantastic film." But the studio didn't know how to tell people to go see it. They didn't know how to describe an anthology horror film, which I don't know why. There's been tons.
especially at that time, like
Yeah.
at the early '90s, there were no shortage of anthology horror
Mhm.
films and television shows. No shortage of all.
Exactly. That was at a time where we had so many black shows on TV, like, Girlfriends, Rock, pick a show, Martin. There's so many shows that were on, Fresh Prince and all of that stuff. Like that movie kind of fits in that gap. It's just, a different type of story, but it fits in there. But that's what marketing matters, unfortunately.
Yeah, we had more black content back then than we did to the extent that we do now,
It's true.
which is
It's
crazy,
true.
you
It's
know.
so true. UPN. I mean, that was a
Home
channel.
Homeboys in Outer Space.
Homeboy's not a space. Those city guys.
Yeah.
Hell, Hang Time. There was some black people on there. Hang Time. Like there was a bunch of these shows where we kind of were in
Mhm.
there. But like, yeah, if these things aren't marketed, people don't see them.
Yes. Yes, Kier. We all loved rock.
Yeah,
Rock
Rock
was
is awesome.
rock was top tier, top tier. Now, do you have a horror film that you wish you could have seen again for the first time?
Um, Candyman.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's a good
I just
one.
love Candyman. I saw it so much in my childhood, but every time I see it, it's like brand new. Like I mean, even though I'm in my 30s now, when I saw Candyman as a child, I understood it. So
Yes.
like I understood what
Yes.
was happening because the story was very well written and very like clear and straightforward. Now I can talk about it more articulate than I probably could have when I was like 7 or 8 when I saw it. But it's Candyman, man. I would definitely revisit. Tony Todd is the fucking goat. Like everybody love that man for a reason. And now he's a great voice actor too, which I'm happy he was able to branch out from just being just Candyman. Fantastic movie, great story. It's even funnier the more I think about it because you just like she could have just not called his name and this wouldn't even be a movie. Keep my name out your mouth, like that's what he wanted. Don't call me.
Uh,
It's yeah.
that's hilarious. That's a hilarious take though. If people just keep their name out your mouth,
He said
then
it the moment he appeared. He was like, "The tails weren't enough for you. You still had to call me." So even he acknowledged it.
Man, Tony Todd, legend, aka Venom, out here
Yep, Venom. He's the
doing the
man.
damn thing,
Best fur
doing the
coat in the
damn
game.
thing.
Candyman was dripped out.
Yes, drip to the max, drip to the max. We got Kira, yes, win in reverse regarding black content on TV. Yes, Mika, yes, we did the reverse in terms of black content
Yep, living
today. Our
single.
favorite Thursday lineup on Fox was Martin, Living Single, and New York Undercover. Top tier. New York
Yep, great
Undercover.
shows.
What? Kids don't know about that. Go on streaming. Soak you up a marathon in New York Undercover because they had musical acts, coming
Mm-hmm.
in and doing a thing,
Mm-hmm.
on a consistent
Oh, hang with
basis.
Mr. Cooper. That was I used to love that show.
Listen, hanging with Mr. Cooper, Wayne's brothers,
Yep.
it was a list. It was a list, on and on. The Parkers, top
Yep.
tier,
Oh man, a lot
top
of
tier.
Parkers. Moesha and all that. The Hugleys.
Listen, the Hugleys, Steve Harvey show, Mr.
Yep. Steve
Hightower,
Harvey.
the High
That
Tops.
was a good show. That was a funny show.
Yes. We got Mika says Candyman is top tier, so good, with Tony Todd. And Paul Draw says, yes, Tony Todd is an amazing voice actor, especially Venom.
Yep.
Yes. He killed that shit. He killed that
Yeah, for
shit.
real. That game is great. I love that game.
Now, yo, I could do a whole freaking hour about how much I love that game because not only did I feel like I was playing the show in the 90s that we
Mm-hmm.
got, but it was like when Peter and MJ were arguing, I'm like, y'all did some extra credit here because this ain't just like I hate you and you're not paying
Yeah,
attention, blah, blah. This was somebody was writing their ass off.
for real.
So,
For
I'm
real.
like, yo, y'all did the damn thing. Y'all did the
Good
damn
game.
thing. But my next question is, does horror do anything specifically for you for your mental health, wise?
I think it helps me how do I say this? I think it helps me make sense of the world.
Mm,
I think that's what the genre has always done for me. And I realized it more and more as I got older. I think the genre always just helped me make sense of the world because it was just one of those things where, you get the Saws, which I love Saw. You get the
yeah.
Saws, and I remember, around the time that came out, Hostel came out, which
Yes.
those are two very drastically different types of films. But
Yes.
the one thing they had in common was the gore and all of that stuff. So, a lot of times between the news or different people talking about, oh, it's that torture porn thing kind of taking over the movie theaters and all of that stuff. And I remember oftentimes when I had conversations with people about that, I would say, well, I wouldn't look at Saw as like torture porn, like Hostel, kinda, but that's baked into the concept of Hostel.
Yeah.
With the whole like basically instead of sexual tourism, it's like murder tourism. Um, but like Saw, I was intrigued by Jigsaw. Like that was what caught my. It wasn't the kills that kept me coming back. It was Jigsaw. Like this dude who like he found out he had cancer. He tries to kill himself, doesn't die, but in not dying, he realizes that other people don't appreciate what they have. So now I'm going to put them in these extreme traps so they can value their life. That's insane. Obviously, I would never want anyone to do that, but like that conceptually, that's a really interesting character. Like that's not a Freddy Krueger or a Michael Myers. He don't even consider himself a murderer, which is crazy.
Yeah.
It's like that's like that's just super interesting to me and stuff like that just kind of makes you make sense of like how people think because I mean when I look at the world, I just a lot of times you see the crazy decisions are made, whether it's politically or just with everyday people in your neighborhood. You go, what the fuck was that person thinking? And I think a lot of times horror makes you think what that person was thinking.
Yeah.
Um, and horror does that for me. I think it just does that for me. Even if it's something I don't feel personally, it makes me understand how someone could feel about something, whether it's racism, whether it's misogyny, whether it's I mean even just killing or just like why you kill, right? Like why do we cheer when the bad
Yeah.
guy finally gets murdered? We ain't pro murder, but when the bad guy gets murdered, we like yeah, chop his head off. Like so, it just helps me make sense of that stuff.
Oh yes. No, I get it. It's a certain release, and it's like, okay, you get into the psyche, because even somebody like Freddy Krueger, who's a
Yeah,
horrible person, but it's like people root for him, and he's like, oh, he's so charming. He's so jokey
such
and all this
kids.
stuff. And it's like, you know, it's yeah, it gets deep. It gets deep. Now, do you have any favorite horror television shows from the past or the present? You know,
Oh yeah, no, definitely. For sure. TV shows. Channel Zero. I love Channel Zero.
a lot of love for Channel Zero.
Channel Zero was dope. And I mean, I can say this because I'm not an NDA and anything, but I actually got to work on season one, which was like really fun.
Yes.
Yeah, I got to work on like the social media for
Awesome.
season one. It was like so great. I like had no idea about the show or anything when they kind of brought it to the agency I was working at. They were just like, "Yeah, we want you guys to do a social media," and everybody there knew I liked horror, so they were just like, actually, I think they probably did it because I was the only dude, but they were just like, "Give it to them," and I was like, "Perfect, I like horror." And Channel Zero was like, cool. If people don't know, it was like the show is an anthology show, but it's like each season is a different thing conceptually. And the first
Mhm.
season was about this creature they called Tooth Child, who like was a part of this whole conspiracy thing from the past and stuff. It's like it's super interesting. The show is based off the premise of creepypastas. Like they took creepypastas online and they basically made like a short seasons out of them. So it was yeah, it was cool. That show was really great though. I really enjoyed Channel Zero. Channel Zero was great. Um Aries. Aries.
Aries.
I don't know if you've ever heard of Aries. It's a Netflix show.
No. Okay.
If you
Okay.
have not heard of it or you have not seen it, I highly recommend it. Even my wife loves that, and she's not the biggest horror person.
Aries.
Aries was great. I'm not going to spoil it, but the premise is basically this girl who's like this black girl, because that does matter in the case of the story. This like mixed girl. She's being raised by her dad, if I recall, because I haven't watched it in a few years. Her dad, and she gets an invitation to like this private school that her mom used to go to. Like her mom passed in the series, so you don't meet her mom, but
Mhm.
she gets an invite to this private school that her mom used to go to, and it's like secret societies and all of this shit. Super dope. I think it was a Swedish or Dutch. Yeah, I think it was a Dutch show, the Dutch Netflix show. I don't remember how I stumbled upon it, but the visual for it caught my attention because the old black eyes, kind of like a demon
Yeah.
type thing. It's not a demon, but I can't really say much more without spoiling it. I highly recommend it. It's a short
Listen.
series. I think it's only like 8 episodes or something like that. Oh, my wife
Yeah, I
came to
just
correct
added it.
she corrected me. She's like, her mom was institutionalized. Her mom isn't dead. Thank you, honey. Yeah, yeah. She's like, yeah. It's really good. It's very very good show. It's super interesting and super short. It's only one season. Netflix didn't bring it back, but honestly, the way this season ends, it didn't really need more. It's kind of like a wrap up, and it's super interesting. If you like secret societies, cults, and all that wild stuff in between, it's interesting.
Okay. Listen, I just added it to my Netflix. Definitely got to check that out. Definitely, you just
Yeah,
sold it. You
Ares
sold it.
Aries.
Yes, yes. We got Kara says the Outsider and Castle Rock were both enjoyable. I've heard a lot of things about both of
Same.
those.
I haven't checked them out either, but I heard about them.
Yes, Mika says, yes, a good release. Love the edge of your seat, tension in battling slash overcoming the villain. Yes, yes. And then Kira actually liked Lovecraft
Yeah,
Country, 30 Coins, and Penny Dreadful. Yeah, all of those were
yeah.
fire, especially 30 Coins. Like I feel like a lot of people slept on 30
I don't
Coins.
think I heard of that
You
one.
know. Exactly, exactly. It was but it is fire. Both seasons. They were very creative with their storytelling, and I just feel like every episode is something new to look at, and
Mhm.
I can't talk enough about 30 coins. 30 coins,
I gotta
people,
check that out.
check it out. And then Kira says everything Flanagan.
Pretty
Facts.
much. I need to finish a few of his things, but that guy is great.
Facts. Have you seen that? Well, you said you got to finish a few of his things. Well, which shows have you seen, so far?
I accidentally started haunting a blind manor, not knowing it was connected to the first one. So I actually need to go back to the first one before I finish Blind Manor, even though I heard they're they're separate enough that you kind of could have watched them without seeing the other.
Yeah, they're really. I mean, you got for you connected it for me because I'm like your average person got to watch YouTube to find out how the shits is connected, you know. But in general, like they're both awesome shows, and the stories. I don't think they have really much to do with each other, but especially like I think they're in two different timelines, but or time
Mhm.
eras, like but it's just chef's kiss, you know. Bly Manor, well, the Haunting of Hill House made me cry,
That's what I've
but
heard about it too.
Bly Manor had me bawling. I was on the freaking couch. I was like, "Damn, this show again, Flanagan, again, Mike. Damn it."
He knows how to
You
hit the
know.
heartstrings, man.
Yeah, yeah, you know, but that's the testament, you know, to his writing, you know. He's definitely top tier, you know. Now, do you have a favorite horror villain, you know, someone that you're just like you go up for and you'll go up for forever, you know?
Ooh, ooh, that's tough. Villain, favorite villain. I feel like it's between Jigsaw and maybe hmm, I feel like Jigsaw and Candyman. Those two in particular are probably like my favorites out of all. Yeah, it's definitely those two. Like I like Freddy and a bunch of other dudes, but
Yeah.
Jigsaw and Candyman, they both just do something for me.
Listen, I think a hybrid of those two would be insane.
That'd be
Insane.
crazy. That'd be insane. They both smart anyway, so that'd be extreme. But definitely
Yes.
those two. Like I'll defend them to hell and back. I mean, especially Candyman, because you're on Twitter, so you probably seen the conversation. I feel like it happens every Black History Month or whatever. Or whenever Candyman comes up, people are just like debating whether or not it's a black film, and I'm just like, bro, how many times we gonna have this conversation? The movie can't get much blacker. He was killed for being black.
Listen. They the whole commentary, the whole social commentary of the film surrounds it. So it's just like whatever, you know. People are gonna Twitter's gonna Twitter, you know. X is gonna X, whatever they call it, you
Pretty
know.
much, yeah. And I think it's just one of those things where sometimes, people can miss context. People can
Yeah.
miss
Oh
parts
yeah.
of dialogue or maybe miss the meaning of something, because that conversation is heavily based in the fact that, Helen is the lead character. But like, every time I talk about the movie, I'm like, she's the lead because the movie is about an outsider entering a community. So
Yes.
the movie wouldn't work if she was a black lead. Like, they had to
Yeah.
do it that way. But I digress.
Yes. Top tier, top tier. Let's see. We got Mika. She says, yes, Flanagan is in a lane of all his own. Great storyteller. Definitely you should check out his newer one, The Fall of the House of Usher.
I
Yeah,
heard
that one
about
was
that.
good as well, you know, especially if you're an Edgar Allan Poe, you know, fan
Well, I
out
am.
there, you know. Yes, yes. You know, which story is your favorite?
I
You
mean, I
know.
go with the cliche, the Raven. But I read it so much. Like I read it so much as a kid. I was like, this is really dope.
Yeah, the Telltale Hearts is my favorite, you know, of
Hmm.
all time. Like I can never get tired of hearing that damn story, you know. Can never that motherfucker was just psycho as hell, you know.
Oh, he was going
Psycho
through it.
as hell.
He was
Yeah.
definitely going through it. He knew how to write some stories, though. I mean, I feel
Oh
like he's
yeah.
been more appreciated now versus the time period where he existed, because that was just so taboo to be able to writing stuff like that. Probably led to him being seeming as crazy as he did. That's probably part of the reason people were like, "What the hell is this guy doing?"
Mhm.
Versus
Oh
today,
yeah.
people he just be emo today. That'd be it.
Oh yeah, pretty much because I actually went inside his house like when I first came out to Philadelphia.
Hmm.
I had got off on the wrong stop at the train station, and
Hmm.
I was walking around the neighborhood, and I was just like, "Where the hell am I?" And then I literally came across Edgar Allan Poe's house, and I was like, "Wow, this is strange," you know. And
Yeah,
you know, just decided to check it out. And I'm like, "Oh, this is wild," you know, just being in that area, you know,
yeah.
it was nice. It was nice, you know. We got Mika says, "All day, my boy Michael." Yes, yes, we all love us some Michael. We all love us some
Michael
Michael.
Myers. That
You
dude just
know,
makes me laugh at this point. Like I can't even take that from the guy seriously. I'm getting tired of him trying to tell me he's a man, but he's not a man at the same time.
listen,
Like, make up
he's
your
a
mind.
man. He's a man. He's the shape. He's the devil.
Yeah.
You
Make
know.
up your mind. They don't Wu Tang jumped this man in Halloween Kills. You know, killed the whole town. Yeah, that movie was crazy. That was
Yes, yes. We got Dell on movies. Thanks for stopping by, Dell. Thanks for stopping by. We got Kira, the Black Cat Poe is unmatched.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, I remember that
The
one a little
Black
bit.
Cat was definitely one of those, definitely up there. You know. Now do you have a favorite final girl or final boy, that sticks out to you, when
Oh,
in the lexicon?
well, Final Girl, it's Sydney for me. I mean, it's
Okay.
changing. It's kind of changing because I always loved Sydney because I had a crush on Nev Campbell when I was a kid. When I first saw Scream, I was like, "Yo, she's so cute." So I had a crush on her, and I just kind of like the Scream, not necessarily the universe, but I love Scream. Like, cause I'm not a big
Yeah,
fan of the sequels, but like
yeah.
I love the first one. It was like such a big part of like movie watching for me as a kid. I think I was like 8 or 9 when it came out or something like that. And I watched it and I was like, this movie is awesome. Like I love like the meta commentary, the social commentary. It's just a super fun movie. And I just love how her character kind of broke a lot of the norms that I was used to seeing in Final Girls from all previous films.
Hmm.
You know, she fights back. She like, you know, she has sex, but she doesn't die because she has sex. All the tropes that they break in horror, I thought was like super dope. I was like, yeah, she's a great character. But it's kind of, I ain't gonna lie, it's kind of tough though. Like as much as I love Sydney,
Yeah.
I also kind of always think of like Ripley because Ripley was like
Oh,
was goaded. Like Ripley goaded.
yes.
Like Ripley like did
Yes.
her thing. She ain't like need to grow into being a badass. She was just a badass.
Listen, off the rip, off
Yeah,
top.
all the rip. She was like, "This is just who I am." Like, "All right, motherfucker, we got to fight these aliens. This is crazy, but like, let me get the suit. Let's do what we got to do." And I kind of respect that. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, I mean, I'm 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 kind of in a almost let's say a 3-way tie between like Sydney Ripley and then I forgot the girl's name, but the one from Black Christmas, the original one.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
I
I know who
forgot
you're
her
talking
name, but I just really
Yeah.
like her character. I like how they kind of once again broke a lot of the tropes of like a final girl and all of that stuff. But it's tough,
Yes.
man. There's so many good final girls.
Yes, yes. We got Dell. He says Sydney is my number one, but Aaron from your next is way underrated.
Erin is dope too. I was thinking about her too. Erin is dope. Like she was prepared. She just like, yo, let's
Yes.
get it. And I always respect characters like that, especially when they're women.
Yes. Always, always. Got a Kira Ripley all day, hands down. Hands
Ripley the
down.
goat.
Yes. Now, did you see the new Alien?
Yeah,
Do you have what did you think about the new Alien film?
I liked it, man. I enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed it a lot. It was a
Yeah.
blast. It was, in some ways a callback to the old movies, but then also its own kind of thing. The scenes were a different kind of tense. They
Yes.
definitely expanded on some of the things we knew. Expanded on how some of the creatures interacted versus before. Like I enjoyed it. I really had no issue with the movie. I walked out like I need to see this again. That was kind of how I walked out of it.
Yeah, I think like in the beat, like maybe like the first 20-ish minutes, I was like, all right, this is it was kind of slow, but after that, once it got going,
It got going.
it was a fast top speed train, just
Yeah,
it was a bullet train, and watching Fetty do his thing and just thinking like, damn, I would love to see Fetty do Dead Space. Because if you love this movie, bro, yeah, yeah. When you
everything
play
I've seen
Dead
about Dead
Space,
Space, people have been
yeah,
saying we need a movie for years.
yeah, yeah. It's definitely up there. It's definitely up there. Yes, Kira, Jess Brandford. Yes, for Black. That's the name of the
Yes,
yes, Jess
Black
Brandford.
Christmas. Yeah.
Brandford. Yes, Black
Yeah, I really like
Christmas.
her character too. She was dope. I mean, the original Black Christmas is a straight up classic. Like I've only seen it, I think, like 2 years ago for the first time, and I was like,
Yeah.
why didn't I know more about this movie? Why haven't I seen this everywhere? But I didn't realize it was a Canadian production, so that explains a lot.
Listen, they do it. They come through. They come through every
Yeah,
once in a while. They come through. Now I want to thank you for rocking with us so far and answering all my questions and getting to know you a little bit better. I got one more question for you before
Sure.
we roll out of here, for the night. If you could spend the day 24 hours in the skin of your favorite horror character, it could be a villain, it could be horror villain, it could be a spirit, it could be it could be a person, it could be an entity, it could be a creature, anything or
Ooh,
anyone. Who or what would it be for 24 hours?
24 hours. It could be any character from like a
Yeah, it could
horror.
be
Any,
any character.
uh, it's gonna be mad random, but perfectly on character for me. Uh, have you seen the movie The Monster Squad? The throwback.
Yes,
That's one of
yes.
my favorite films ever. I would love to be the kid who played the leader, the kid,
Oh, okay.
or yes, I'd leave. I forgot his name, but I'd love to be either him or the cop, the black dude who was the partner to his dad.
Okay.
Either one of those two, because I feel like as much as I've seen that movie, those characters crack me the hell up. And I love the black dude who was the cop. I can't remember the actor's name. He's been in a ton of stuff, but he was just so funny to me because I remember the scene with the Wolf Man where
Yes.
where they was just like he was like shoot me or whatever because yeah, Wolfman has nards. Like he was, I think when he was at the police station, he was trying to get put in the cell because he knew he was going to transform. And I remember the
Hmm.
police officer just laughing at him. He was like, the kids said they saw a wolf man. These kids is crazy. And like the way he just laughed at all the insanity of that night, he was like, yo, we just saw a mummy. Mummies ain't supposed to be real, man. Like it's so stupid, but like I would love to be like an observer in that kind of world to like the insanity of like that night. These like group of kids are fighting fucking Dracula and like the
Yes.
creature from the Black Lagoon and Frankenstein. Yes, put me in that universe as almost anyone for like a night. That'd be hilarious.
Yes, I love it. The Monster Squad,
That's my movie.
showing some love. I got to give that a rewatch. That's a classic. That's a
That's a
throwback
classic
right
right
there.
there, dude. It still holds up. I always say Dracula was the original "fuck them kids" meme. Like he was really
Yeah.
ain't give a fuck about the kids. He did not care. Dracula was like, they got to get up out of here. I don't care how old they are. They got to die.
Yes, yes. Listen, I mean, and that's the funny thing because back then, like throughout the years, you see how they treat kids in horror movies,
Mhm.
but it's like back then they had some close calls. They had some close calls. I feel like we need to get a little bit more extreme. We need to say fuck them kids a little. We need to
Yeah.
turn the level up, a little bit.
Yeah, hey, remember Dracula grabbed a little girl by the face and called her a bitch, which was crazy. She was like
Listen.
5.
Crazy, man, crazy, but we'll see how it's gonna go, how the decade, how the decade into the decade plays out,
Yeah.
because we still got another couple years before we close this one out,
Yep.
but thank you again, for kicking it with us
Yeah,
and
man. Thank you.
chopping it up, with this thing called horror, the genre that we know and love, so dear, and I hope that you do come back on, and join us for
Definitely.
a discussion and just kick it with us and just chop it up about the genre with the folks. Want to thank Dell on Movies for stopping by. Yes, OG Piranha really
Oh
says
yeah,
fuck them
Piranha.
kids. Yes,
My
yes, but
father
thank
loved
you.
those monster joints. Piranha was his jam.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Dell, for stopping by. Kira and Mika, always showing love. Paul Draws, thank you for stopping by, showing some love. Everybody, Bobby, thank you for stopping by. Jody, thank you for stopping by. Jaleesa, Lady Evil herself. Thank you for showing some love. So, yes, everybody. And is there anything that you would like to plug, Kendall, before we roll out of here?
Oh yeah, sure, man. Terra Nova podcast. You can check us out anywhere you're streaming, Spotify, Google Play, all of that jam. Social media wise, we're only on Instagram, so you can just look us up on Instagram. Terra Nova, one word, literally the word Terra, the Nova, Nova podcast. You should pop up immediately. You can't miss it. All the branding is pretty much like yellow and blue.
Yes.
Uh, and other than that, you could catch if you want to follow me. I'm on Instagram as well, but I'm usually on Twitter more than anything else. So just the Kendell B, THE, my first name, letter B. Should come up. You should see a photo of me on like a red background, red orange background. And if you want to just talk movies or just I don't know, just talk about whatever or crack jokes, feel free to hit me out.
Yes, yes. That's what's up. That's what's up. But thank you again for joining us. And
Thanks for having me, man.
uh listen, it's been a pleasure, man. It's been a pleasure. I can't wait for future conversations. Cannot
Yes.
wait for future conversations. But thank you, everybody. And that has been another episode of Evil Live. So make sure you watch something spooky tonight. With whatever you're eating, whatever you're smoking, whatever you're drinking. Make sure you keep it spooky and keep it frightful. And as always, peace, love, and horror, everybody. And we're out of here. We're out of here. Peace out.